Not all cruise ships are created equal, and after testing over 40 different variations, I'm starting to learn what it is I like and what I don't really need. In today's video, we're going to explore the NCL Viva, and I'm going to show you some of the features of the ship that made me say, wow, great idea, and some things that made me say, okay, they have no idea. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there, and I've also written 2 travel-related books full of stories of things that have really happened to me while traveling around the world. Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship and Places Please are available on Amazon now. Nowadays, most modern cruise ships feel more like floating resort hotels and less like an actual ocean-going vessel. On many ships, you spend a lot of time walking around inside corridors with little to no reminder that you are actually on the ocean. But the Viva is way different. I'm not sure I've ever been on a ship with this much outside space and windows to view the ocean. In fact, I want to show you one of my favorite secret spots on the ship. If you're looking for some place to sit down and read or get some work done with a spectacular view, of course the ship has the observation lounge up on deck 17. But I found a special little corner in the main atrium area that I want to show you. Here we are in front of this spectacular staircase, and the first step we're going to do is go up to this level. This is the shore excursions desk, and next to the shore excursions desk is another staircase. We're going to go up here, and there's your seat right there. I just feel like this is a nice place that people wouldn't normally think to look if you're just wanting to lounge around and read or maybe drink your coffee and look out at the ocean. And there's actually 2 of these seats, one on this side and one on the other side. And of course, there is a bar close by, so it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Wrapping around the ship on deck 8, you have the Ocean Boulevard area, which, in addition to having outdoor seating for several restaurants and bars, is basically like a second pool deck, but with unobstructed views of, guess what? The ocean. I mean, look at all this extra space to lounge around, take a dip, and stare out at the horizon while sipping a mojito and posting pictures to make your micromanaging coworkers back at home jealous. Come on, you know you do it. By the way, while cruising on the Viva, I saw something that I haven't seen before at this level of organization. Check this out. It was early morning, and a lot of the loungers down on Ocean Boulevard were already reserved with towels and books, but this crew member was going around and putting stickers with a time written on them. That way, he knew exactly when it was time to remove all the stuff if the people hadn't shown up yet. I love this idea. I seriously wanted to just stand there watching for like another hour to see him take stuff away, and then who knows how much longer I would have had to wait, but I wanted to see the people come back and then throw a fit that their stuff had disappeared. That's called Schadenfreude, and surprise, surprise, it's a German word. Good job, NCL, for proactively fighting against the people who reserve a sun lounger at 7 a.m. and then go back to bed before going to breakfast, before getting a mani-pedi, and then finally showing up around lunchtime. If the weather is not as great for you as it was for us on our Mediterranean cruise back in May, there is another great place on the ship where you can hang out and still have great views of the ocean. The observation lounge is on deck 17 at the front of the ship and not only offers you indoor panoramic views of the ocean and plenty of places to sit and play cards or read, but there's also a bar and a mini buffet with a pretty decent breakfast selection and hot and cold snacks during the day. If you're not a big breakfast eater and you just want to grab like a coffee and a croissant in the morning, skip the buffet altogether and just come here. The Viva has no shortage of bars, and one thing I really like about this ship and most of the NCL ships is each of the bars seems to kind of have a different vibe and a different atmosphere. Some of them also offer certain cocktails that you can't get in the other bars. But one thing we noticed was that, especially in the evening, certain bars do get very, very crowded, especially the ones with live music. And if you're not lucky enough to be staying in the Haven with its exclusive, super fancy cocktail bar, then you might end up waiting a long time for a drink. But I found kind of a secluded, hidden
bar on deck 6, which almost always had seats free and a place at the bar, and it was much easier and much quicker to go there to get a drink than it was to stay where we were and wait. It's called the Belvedere bar. Let me show you where it is.
So if you've got the light up stairway behind you, the casino is in front of me.
Walking all the way through the casino on the right or left side, past the stairs, towards the back of the ship, and eventually you will end up in the Belvedere bar. If you're going to be cruising on the Viva and like to go out in the evening, remember this place. We found ourselves heading there a few times a night when we were out and about, like hanging out in the casino or listening to the live band in the atrium, because it was just quicker to walk there and get a drink than to wait at one of the crowded bars in the atrium. By the way, if you're more interested in the restaurants and other food options, I made a dedicated video about that. You can check it out in the description box or just search my library for I tried 6 restaurants on my cruise on the NCL Viva. Spoiler alert, without a doubt, my favorite restaurant was the Indulge Food Hall. In fact, it might be my favorite restaurant on any cruise ship ever. All right, let's talk about the top deck. On so many other ships, be it from Disney or Royal Caribbean or Carnival, the pool deck and pool area is like a central meeting point. There are hundreds of deck chairs and a big open space for daytime activities like volleyball or belly flop contests. Also the place to be for the sail away party. And while the top deck of the Viva offers a lot of amusements, the main pool seems like an afterthought. It's squashed in between the buffet and a bunch of other stuff, and it's not really a highlight. And actually, if it wasn't for the smaller water features on the Ocean Boulevard on deck 8, this would be much too small for this size of ship. I mean, check this out. This is the entire main pool area. If you just want to lay out in the sun, there are plenty of mini sun decks spread out across the top of the ship, but then you're going to be walking up and down stairs to get to the pool to cool down or to get yourself a drink. And another thing that is so weird is, if your cabin is towards the back of the ship and you take the elevators up to deck 17 to go to the pool, the only way to the pool from those back elevators is to literally walk through the already crowded buffet. This is seriously such a bad idea, and it's better on just about every other ship I've ever been on. I mean, don't make me have to walk past a tray of cookies just to get to the pool. Like most modern cruise ships in this category catering to this market, the Viva does have a water slide, singular, only one, so not a water park, just a water slide. And this water slide is so small and is over so quickly. I mean, to be honest, I've had gas that's lasted longer than a ride on this water slide. It's kind of really a one and done thing, and I feel like they almost should have just left it off there completely. You know, on other ships catering to families that offer water features, there's usually 3 or 4 water slides all grouped together in one area, and it can kind of be an activity for the younger or young at heart that takes up a certain space in the day. But just having one water slide there and then one that's really just so short, like I said, honestly, I feel like they should have just not even. The Viva also has 3 of these very large dry slides, 2 on one side, 1 on the other. I found the opening hours to be very sporadic, and in fact, we did go to ride them at one time during hours that said it would be open, and when we got there, they were closed. But if you've ridden these dry slides where you go down in kind of a sack on maybe one of the larger Royal Caribbean ships, you'll know these are also kind of a one and done thing. It's not something you're going to want to do over and over and over. They're honestly not very thrilling, and then you also need a GPS device to get back to the beginning because they end someplace totally different on the ship. And almost all the other areas on the top deck are taken up by extra charge attractions. Even the mini golf on the Viva, which is included in the price of the cruise, I think on every other cruise ship I've ever been on, even that costs extra. The gigantic go-kart track is $15 a ride. There's a huge arcade with some sort of interactive arcade games. Everything costs extra. The back of the ship has the Haven pool deck, and then between the Haven pool deck and the buffet is the Vibe Beach Club, which is also an extra charged pool deck basically. So as far as the top deck goes on the Viva, I guess I'm just not really a fan. Of course, there are a ton of other things to see and talk about on this ship, and I have featured them in many videos of this series. The NCL Viva is kind of a mixed bag of brilliant design with fantastic restaurants, and then some areas that seem like they were created by someone who has never been on a cruise ship before. Let me know what you think about this ship in the comments, and I'll be back on Sunday to tell you about all the chaos I experienced on my recent visit to the United States. The story involves delays, canceled flights, missing baggage, me being rebooked on a wrong flight, and I didn't tell you this yet, but it also involves the police. Make sure you check back in a couple days for that video, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up before you go. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. See you soon.